Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Geek Boots. Sorry for that week off. We here at Geek Boots like to tell you all about the big green weenie and how it likes to continue to fuck us. Just like when you get free photos because you're in cosplay, but then when you complain and you beg too much, the photographer ends up deleting your photos.
Whoops. That's never happened before.
Never.
That's never
Ever.
actually. I've never done that ever.
And
Weird.
Hudson's posted it before.
The memory card died.
oops.
Oh no, I've seen.
No, I've actually like live streamed me deleting their photos to them, like live streaming deleting the files one by one. So yeah.
It's like, you remember this? You'll never see it again.
You're my
You got a
hero.
screenshot.
I am your host, Tom Cruise Cosplay. With me is a full house. Woo!
Plus one.
Plus one. Today we have our exciting guest, Hudson Michaels Photography. Say hi.
Yeah. Hey everybody.
So that's how podcasts work. We
Hey,
talk
you have
to you,
to
you have to talk back.
I'm joking. Yeah. Hey everybody. What's up?
I know these words.
Hudson Michaels is huge in the Pacific Northwest, not just in cosplay, he's doing a lot of amazing things, and he is ex-Navy. Hudson, why don't you go tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, good sir?
I don't know what you want to know. Was in the Navy for 10 years. I had a cousin in the Navy who passed away, and that made me decide I wanted to go home. I've been up here for about, I don't know, since 2011. I don't know how many years that is. Was that 8 years?
Numbers are hard.
Yeah, numbers are very hard, especially when everyone in this area sucks. So, just want to say that. Okay, so, God, I can't wait to go back to Oakland.
We miss you too.
No, I'm joking. No, it's just like it's been an interesting. Everyone up here is like a little bit of a huggers and touchy feely, and we're not really like that in the Bay Area, California. You know, everybody takes care of their own. It seems to not happen here, but I love it. I love it up here as far as people like Morgan and Justine and you guys on this screen here make me have happy thoughts.
Yay.
You're doing something right.
What? Ew. Don't let me do something right. Ew.
Right, like not putting on a bra.
No, that's definitely
Guy,
thoughts. I'm good with that.
that's a perk.
Remember that, okay? Just remember
Speaking of perky,
Oh Jesus.
I didn't know if she was smuggling purple crayons or what.
I like purple.
Of which I had a great fascination. I want to either make an entire suit of armor that is Wonder Woman based out of purple crayons, or make her weapons and shield out of purple crayons. One of the two.
I would
She likes
eat it
purple
though.
crayons. She's a marine.
She,
She likes
she would
purple crayons.
I feel a little fragile.
interesting.
she would eat it.
We wrap it
Nom,
in-
nom, 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 nom.
Today's episode, we are talking about photography. We're going to talk about good stories, we're going to share bad stories, lessons learned, something you hope someone learned. Funny stories are probably going to be a majority of what's going to happen on this episode.
Yes.
So we're going to brace for that. And since you are the guest, Hudson, why don't you start, my man?
Funny story. What kind of story you want me to go with first?
What was your favorite photo shoot and why?
Favorite photo shoot. Well, I guess I would say my favorite photo shoot was actually it was a birthday party. There was a group of cosplayers here named the Seattle Avengers, and they do a lot of charity work in the area. And one thing they did is there was a 7-year-old boy who hadn't had a birthday party in 7 years because he's been sick every year on his birthday. And they invited me to come to his first actual official birthday party at a bowling alley, and it wound up being a blast. It's actually funny. The parents gave the kid a camera like during his, as one of his gifts, and he basically started cosplaying me throughout the rest of the day. He was shadowing me taking photos of cosplayers. So it was actually wound up being cool. And I actually still hang out with that family from time to time. But that was like my favorite photo shoot because it was just charity for a kid's party who's never had an actual party.
That's awesome.
That's
Nice.
so cute.
Awesome. Carrying on, single dad, since you're the other little photographer in our group, why don't you show a good story?
Little photographer? Wait, what? Hold on.
Do you lose
I'm
some?
talking about your height. No, I'm just kidding.
And the tiny, tiny beard.
The tiny, tiny beard. Yeah, I actually ended up. This weekend was kind of a whirlwind for me. Ended up on Saturday. This is I'm not gonna say this was my favorite, but this is the way things happen sometimes. I was kind of sitting at the house and I had a photo shoot booked for Saturday night, which is down in NoHo, North Hollywood. And a friend of mine who goes to the cinematic makeup school was doing a body paint shoot and wanted a photographer, so she called me up. It's like, hey, you mind doing this? I was like, yeah, not a problem. So I was already planning on going down to Hollywood, and then at like 11 o'clock that morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock that morning, another friend calls me up. It's like, hey, we're down at Sony Pictures Studios right now. We've got the Ghostbusters Fan Fest. How quick can you get here? We need a photographer. It's like, well, shit, I've already got my stuff packed. So I hit the road, got to spend the day at the Ghostbusters Fan Fest at Sony Pictures Studio. Got to hang out with a lot of really cool people. Got to meet a lot of really cool people. And then went to my shoot in NoHo. Then turned right around, and then Sunday shot at WhedonCon most of the day. Was actually on a panel there talking about mental health in the cosplay community, and that was awesome. And actually, Mayan was there
Yeah.
to kind of help let me know that I wasn't alone. So thank you very much for being there. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
And then shot that day, and then turned around Monday, had another photo shoot with a friend of mine. So what was supposed to be a nice relaxing off weekend for me turned into multiple photo shoots and a great time. So.
And you
So
really
that's-
needed that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I've taken a lot of time off recently, but I've been focusing on the private shoots and the location shoots. And actually, just today, I was tickled pink because I got a save the date card from one of the cosplayers that I work with, and it is literally a Fallout photo shoot that we did at an abandoned missile base, and she used my photos for her save the date card for her wedding coming up
Oh,
in
nice.
October.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
So hold on. Actually, if you've got your camera on, here it is right here.
Oh, those ones. Yeah. I remember those photos.
Yes. So I got the save the date card today. So yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm really happy.
For the listeners, he just shared a photo of them in cosplay of Fallout Vault Dweller uniforms that are
Yes.
amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's
Vault
really
111.
cool.
So
And speaking of that, just reminded me because freaking I was texting trying to get T-shirt sizes because, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Geek Boots finally has its logo. And I was trying to text for Single Dad's T-shirt size, and Mayan Goddess goes, "He's in a panel. Is it so important? Do you need me to interrupt?" And I go,
No,
As-
for the record, I said he's in a panel. Can it wait like 20 minutes?
I'm like, as hilarious as it would be to make one of the questions about the T-shirt size, why don't we wait till he's done? So yeah, giant shout out to LK.DESIGNZ for making us our logo, and he's going to be making future stuff for us as time goes on and money permits, because money.
yes. Yes.
Now we're gonna throw it over to favorite photography photo shoot story to Cosplay Jenemy. Cosplay Jenemy, you are up next.
Oh goodness, I do a lot of my own photos because I don't like people, and no, I'm kidding.
I mean,
You too.
So the female version of Hudson.
fair point.
But probably my favorite photo shoot is probably my Ariel Chucky mashup, because I got to play in Blood for the first time, and that was hilarious. And then I couldn't stop laughing at every time I would touch something, because we were out in like the middle of the wilderness. And I was like, somebody is going to come across like all of these bloody handprints, because every time I was like climbing on things, everything I would touch was like bloody handprints.
So this whole picture that I'm imagining from this story is downright horrifying to think about.
That would be me. I wouldn't ever go there. I'd run immediately. I usually die in these movies pretty quick. So.
It's like that meme with that dude that he drives up to something and sees something, and next thing you know, he's putting it in reverse and backing up.
Yeah, well, I'm out of here.
Nope.
No, totally. If I was in a horror movie, I would be that first girl who dies at the beginning before anything starts.
They're like, oh, let's hide in this garage. It's filled with weapons and has no light and is super mysterious.
There's only one way in and one way out.
Like Pablo Francisco on all the Jason movies, where he pretends to be the girl going into the giant scary abandoned mansion. Hello? Anybody here?
Totally me.
I'm gonna get naked and take a shower. What's going on?
It's abandoned. Why can't I get naked?
I mean,
is it abandoned though?
In my mind, until I'm dead. But at least I don't have to go through any of the horror stuff because I'm already dead.
That's true. You get it out of the way.
Fair.
Just you don't have to suffer. You suffer for like 2 seconds and then it's done.
now I picture Cosplay Jenny getting like stabbed, and then her response is, "Oh, thank God," and she just rolls over and dies.
Right?
Yes! I knew it!
She'd be like, can you try again? Just aim a little higher. My heart's like right there.
It's like being in a oh crap, my brain.
Oh.
It's like being on a forum. I get to type first.
Yes.
Back in high school when MySpace was first a thing and everybody ran to be the first person to post on someone's page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always.
Someone would always comment saying, "I just popped your comment cherry," and I'm like, "Why are you celebrating this? What?"
Well, you're no
Yeah, that
longer
was
in
the
my
thing.
top 8.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, oh, the serial killer's cherry.
You may be in my top 15, but we'll see. Well, that's an awesome story that led into so many jokes about horror movies.
You had me at Blood.
I really do wish I had like a police scanner that I could have like scanned for at least the next like half hour or something.
Oh God. So
and then I left the photo shoot and went to the nearest Starbucks so I could get the rest of the blood off of me because I was in the middle of the woods. And I walk in and I'm like, I'm just gonna go use your bathroom, and people are like staring at me. I'll buy something when I get out.
I'm walking out of the woods covered in blood. I'm going to walk into Starbucks. I'm not going to go use the restroom. I'm going to order a fucking drink.
The detective on that trail, right? He's sitting there checking all these bloody handprints. All of a sudden, why does it end at Starbucks? Wait a minute, what's going on?
And then
When you're in a killing mood, but you still need to be basic as fuck.
Yes.
White girl murderer.
Yeah, right.
that,
She's gotta get her pick.
White girl murderer.
that reminds me of back a few years ago. Me and some of the guys were out riding our 4-wheelers up on out in the Olympic Forest, or Capitol Forest, and I ended up getting in a wreck. Tore my rotator cuff, dislocated my shoulder, broke part of my arm. I had blood running down my body and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, well, we have to go to Madigan, which is the Army hospital on Fort Lewis. And the wait there is always just ridiculous. Like any other military hospital, the waits in the ERs are stupid long.
Yeah.
So the dude's like, hey, or one of the guys I was with, he's like, hey man, this is gonna take forever. You want to go to Popeyes first? I was like, solid. So we go to the freaking Popeyes on base. So we all the two of them walk in. I walk in after them. At this point, I've taken my jersey off, so I'm down to just a wife beater. My jeans that are all torn up. My face is partially torn up. My arm is just hamburger. My side's all messed up. There's just blood everywhere, and they just I look white trash as it possibly gets. Just give me a chicken sandwich. But everybody's just staring at me like, what are you doing here?
It's a long wait.
It's a long wait. We wanted to eat first.
I know. It's better than waiting at the hospital, that's for sure.
Can you imagine how long you're there and then you get hungry and then you're like just hungry and in pain?
It's if people followed my story, it's like this post. This guy did like a dramatic poetry slam about what it's like being in the military, and one of those jokes that he said was 40 veterans go to the VA or the military hospital. They all die waiting for treatment, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. So
Sounds about right.
Yep, seriously. Yeah. So J4, it is now your turn, good sir.
What was the question?
We got
favorite
distracted by blood,
photography,
okay.
Favorite photo shoot. Oh man. I've got kind of two good ones that are kind of a little different.
You only get one. I'm just kidding.
My favorite cosplay photo shoot was definitely at SakuraCon last year. It was me, my wife, and 3 of our friends. And like we didn't even get tickets to SakuraCon. We just ghosted it. And we just spent all day just having fun. We stopped for pizza and beer, and just did photo shoots with different photographers that they had planned out all that day. And it was just a lot of fun, lots of smiles. It was a good time. And then outside of cosplay, right before I actually left to come overseas, I actually got to do a family photo shoot with a friend, and
cough, cough.
that was one of the first times that we've been able to do family photos where my kids weren't like screaming and crying the whole time. So
that's because they know me.
Exactly. But it was a good time. The kids had fun, and I wasn't wanting to rip my hair out, and so I didn't actually have to fake the smiles like I usually do in family photos, with my wife scratching my back. Smile, smile, smile. I'm trying. But yeah, so those are my favorite times.
I mean, instead of scratching, has she ever thought of tickling you to get you to smile? Cause that works for me.
I'm not that
You
ticklish.
tickling him? Or are you getting tickled?
I would tickle the hell out of J4 if I knew how to tickle him and knew where to tickle him. He's not answering that.
He is planning his murder right now.
Like
that is the face of a man ready to kill someone.
That is the look of,
that is a secret under lock and key.
That's the look of, I know where I'm ticklish, but you're not allowed to touch me there, because we only keep it at gay jokes. We don't actually go there.
It wouldn't be gay.
If it's in a 3-way.
It'd be weird.
Wow.
This is why Hudson keeps me around. I do those white people bullshit jokes, and he's just like, oh my god. And now we throw it to Mayan Goddess.
Hi.
Ah.
So I guess one of my favorite experiences, if I had to narrow it down to one, was probably my first photo shoot outside of a convention. Because that I got to learn a lot of not even like rules or anything like that, but like trends that I see every time I do photo shoots now is like just seeing like the type of people that are walking by going like, it's March, not October. What's with the buh?
Yeah.
And so I was doing Wonder Woman at the beach, and it was like people were walking by, but like they didn't want to stop and stare like some people usually do. So like they were just like walking by and kind of like doing this number. And then like 5 minutes later, I'll see them walking by again, doing this number at a very isolated beach where it's very obvious that like you guys are the only ones here. So that was pretty funny. And like at one point,
but they're walking. They're just walking the beach.
Yeah, they're just walking.
But yeah, same like 15 feet.
Yeah, it was the same 15 feet, and like they just kept walking like back and forth, side to side, and like one of them had a Captain America shirt on too. So I was like, dude, Captain, just hang out. You can watch. It's okay. But yeah, so that was a really interesting experience to get to kind of see that happen, and then yeah, and I remember it was in December too. So everyone's like, she, how is she not dying from cold? How is she not freezing? And we're just like, dedication. And I'm getting distracted by a doggy.
Because it's Southern California and 70 degrees isn't cold.
I was going to say, all of my photo shoots since I've gotten here have been like with snow.
See? That would be
in
cool.
Colorado.
Yeah.
I laid in the snow for my friend for a nice photo shoot she wanted from me. She sent me lots of love.
I really want someone to lay in the snow for me.
Oh, I'll lay in the snow for you anytime.
I'll lay in this.
J4 and I will create a
snowing
heart.
rolls.
We will shape out a heart in the snow for you.
Oh
Okay,
my goodness. I
that'd be
hate
perfect.
snow. I hate cold so much. Like, you will not find me out in the cold without like bajillions of layers until someone's like, hey, you want to go do a photo shoot? And I'm like, I'm half naked already. I'm like, I'm in.
I
Yes.
said half naked, and I said I'm in.
So
Yeah,
the-
you had all of us.
It's like, you cannot catch me dead in the snow, in the cold, until somebody mentions photo shoot. And then I'm like, I'm all in.
I feel
will
like cosplay is one of those weird scenarios where it's like, yeah, I would do that. Like,
know,
not
I
like
will
this,
do
but
Stupidest thing.
I love when I see
Let's do a
something like
photo
super
shoot.
dangerous, and I'm like, "Can you do that?" They're like, "You only get one shot. You get one shot to jump off this cliff. You're gonna jump off the cliff. We're gonna get the shot, and we're gonna go home. Okay? I'm gonna go home. You're gonna go to the hospital. So
we'll have it at your funeral. It'll make a great obituary.
It'll be a great picture at your funeral. Yeah, I've done that where somebody's like, hey, can you hang off of that? And I was like, I can try. I'm like liming walls.
Have you ever seen those pictures where you're like, this is really cool. How did you do that?
I have one picture like that where it looks like I'm doing Gwen Stacy and it looks like I'm hanging on the side of a wall. But there was actually a window there. You just can't see it. And I'm actually hanging onto this window.
Oh.
The photographer kind of got around the corner, so you can't really see that there's an indentation of a window with bars on it.
Nice.
And there just happened to be a pipe in that one little corner, and it was awesome.
That is cool.
I think one of my favorite times doing a photo shoot like that is while I was back home on leave, doing a photo shoot with a friend, Mike, Emerald City Avenger. And I get this idea and I just look at him and I'm like, Mike, how much do you weigh? And he's like, you have my attention.
Why?
Speaking of all the laughter, the next step is funny stories. So why don't we go again? Hudson, funniest story you've ever had, or your favorite funny story. I don't really care. Go for it.
I would say the funniest story I had was at Wizard World in Portland. Not going to mention the cosplayer, but they cosplayed Batman, and it was roughly 3 a.m. And there's this bridge called the Steel Bridge in Portland, where it's this huge metal bridge. I decided to say, took my drone out and was like, "Hey, Batman, can you hang from the bridge on the suspension cable?" So we lowered him down the bridge, flew my drone out there, got photos of like Batman, like, you know, climbing up the side of a bridge, like over Portland with the huge Portland sign behind it. But like I said, 3 a.m. So you see me sitting there with like with my drone case open, my car's parked on the side of the bridge. So next thing you know, a police car pulls up. She's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, I'm taking photos of Batman. Batman, huh? are you sure? Because the Batman's hanging down off the bridge, so you can't see him. And so I know what it looks like because I have this big, huge metal case on a bridge open in the middle of the night. So, like I said, it's scary for me, but like he's like, why don't you come back over here for a minute? I'm like, sir, I'm serious. There's a Batman there, and my drone's like over there. And he's like, I'm gonna need you to put that down. I'm like, oh, but if I do, I might lose my drone. It's a $700 drone. Can you pay for it? He was like, and so he draws his gun. I got a little nervous. Then I was like, sir, could you just look over the bridge? And then like he looks over, he's like, oh shit, there's a Batman. I'm like, yeah.
I'm telling you.
I just said there's a Batman.
Please don't make me charge my drone.
He was like, there's a Batman. He's like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah. He's like, so you know you have to come up, right? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We got the shot anywhere. We're good. We can go. So, but before we leave, there's like 5 or 6 police cars out there just waiting for us to pull up this Batman, and it was pretty awesome. It was good.
Holy shit, there's a Batman! Oh, poor Batman's like, do I pop my head out now? Do I scream? Like,
well, you got to think that entire time the Batman was hanging, like trying to figure out, like, dude, we got the shot. So he's just hanging there while I'm talking to the cops. So it's pretty funny because there was like no word of what, like, did he just leave me? Just hanging there?
Jesus.
Find your own way down.
like
That's
come on,
like
don't die.
it was earlier on in my cosplay life, and I was trying to do what the fuck was I trying to do? I was trying to do Punisher, and I had brought a revolver, a airsoft revolver, and I let my friend, who was dressed up as Deadpool, you know who I'm talking about, get on top of the table, and he's trying to catch the other cosplayers' attention who are coming out of the changing room area. Keep in mind this is a park, and he starts aiming at them, bobbing up and down and pretending to pull the trigger, which he's not pretending, he's doing it. He's squeezing the trigger multiple times. People saw, so about 5 minutes in, we're waiting, and finally we start walking down, and about 6 police officers strapped and bulletproof vests and all start walking up, and they see us, we're cosplayers, so they ask, they're like, excuse me, we're looking for something, and I knew right away what the fuck was up, and I go, oh, so about that, I have an airsoft revolver in my trench coat. May I show you to let you know that there is no harm here. This friend of mine is a fool, jumped up on the table and pretended to shoot. And they go, okay, sure. So I opened it slowly, showed them the revolver, let them hold it. They were playing with the trigger a little bit, and they're like, oh, okay, thank God. Yeah, somebody called the cops and said some dude dressed up in all red and black was shooting at people. And I'm like, oh, that's lovely. I just love it when people call the cops on cosplayers just trying to have a fun photo shoot.
Oh,
Dressed in red and black, huh? Whatever that
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
I wonder what the costume that was.
Yeah. I wonder.
Just the Hulk. I'm just kidding. And now we throw it over to Single Dad. Funniest story you got.
So, there's nothing gonna top Batman hanging off the side.
No.
No.
Yeah, he froze.
I was like,
In
We
the
lost
middle of the
him.
podcast.
And to
All right.
top that, I'm gonna freeze.
We will certainly circle back around to Single Dad. I'm sure by the time he gets his stuff back together and shuts a couple of motherfuckers, we'll be ready. Cosplay Genevieve, funniest story you got? Go.
Well, I guess my funniest probably was like my favorite at the same time with the whole blood. But I guess the only other one I can think of that, I mean, cracked me up at the time. I don't know how well it's gonna go across as being funny, but I was doing a underwear photo shoot,
Go on.
and and my photographer, she wanted me to jump on the bed. Well, it was a Tempur-Pedic bed, so trying to jump on those is almost impossible. And so I'm like trying to get lift off the bed a little bit at and I'm like falling over on top of myself and trying not to die because Tempur-Pedic you cannot jump on at all. I don't know if you've ever tried, but
I wanted to do the wine glass
you kind
thing.
of like
you sink into it.
Yeah.
So you do this like hop, collide.
Yes.
There's no height. You can't get like these cute little jump photos that you see in like the magazines and stuff where you kind of jump up, and yeah, it was nothing. It was nowhere near.
Okay, I'm back.
That puppy behind you has been staring up at the webcam like, can you stop paying attention to them and pay attention to me for 5 seconds? Okay. Yeah, I've never had the money to own a Tempur-Pedic, but I see the commercials and I'm like, okay, but how real is that? Like, are they glued down? Be real. Let's be real. And then plastic wrap over the top of the cup so that the wine doesn't spill anywhere no matter what.
I mean, they're not that good.
They're not that. They're. It's a little exaggerated with that, but that was on my first deployment. When I came back, that was what I ended up buying. A bunch of people end up wasting money on like cars and stuff like that, and I was like, no, I want myself a freaking comfortable mattress. So
Sure.
that's what I got.
You got done sitting with those barracks beds, and now it's time to get an actual bed.
Yep.
But they're really nice. They're actually really nice to do photo shoots on because you don't like sink as much into them because sometimes there's a lot of like, especially like girl shapes on beds. And so in that case, they're really nice to use for photo shoots, but you can't jump on them.
I was about to say.
And plus, when you're trying to like get a girl to arch a lot more, and when you're on an actual bed, you can't get those real high definite curves because they're sinking into the bed too much, but you really can on a Tempur-Pedic. You can get way up in the air. You can get your butt way up in the air.
Let's let the silence just. Yeah,
yes, you can.
We're all just imagining it for a minute. Let's just let the silence hit for a second. Just take this in.
So that's what I need for the studio now. We got it.
I always feel bad because like I never do those type of like sexy hi, like hello there shoots. I just derp. Like the closest.
Derp or you look like a fucking badass. That's what you do.
You do. I can't do the badass look, so that's why I stopped doing like superheroes because I'm like, I always have superheroes that are like.
You're my superhero. Actually, there was one shoot where like I was trying. They were like, "Do sexy," and I just came across as evil. And they're like, "No, don't look evil. Look sexy." And I was like, "That's all I got."
Oh, I had a photographer.
Mean sexy.
I had a photographer tell me, he was like, "Okay, do the sexy look," and I was trying to do it, and he's like, "Try a different look." He goes, "No, try a different look." He's like, "Look, just change your face."
Just change your face. Oh, that's what Hudson says to my girlfriend all the time. Every time they're doing a photo shoot, and he's like, "Hold on, we gotta do it again." She'll be like, "What was the problem?" And he'll just be flat out straighter. He'd be like, "It was your face. You making weird faces. Stop making weird faces." He says it to me all the time. Right.
And like they're like telling me they're like just blow, like you're blowing a bubble. Just blow, and I'd be like.
That was interesting.
And it just gets worse and worse. And you know how many people I've taught how to do sexy face? Numerous of my friends. Because I end up being the photographer teacher of all of my friends, how to make good faces, how to pose right. And then when it comes to me, I'm like, derp?
I got that far.
And to backtrack, by the way, to correct you, your Black Widow is amazing, so don't even try saying you can't have a superhero cosplay.
True story.
Just saying. Just letting you know.
Yeah, but look at my face and like all of
It's the face of somebody ready to kill a bunch of motherfuckers. I don't know what you
You'll
want.
kill us with a smile.
Yeah.
I do.
You're happy to kill. Happy Death Day to you.
Well, that's terrifying.
See, that's why your Harley Quinn is just like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My
your Harley is amazing.
Spot on, but I hate wearing Harley at a con.
Well, you know.
There's 523,000 of them.
Yeah, I hate Harley.
I'm tired of taking pictures of Harley Quinns over and over and over again.
It's like,
yes.
She is like my absolute favorite to cosplay. I love running around as Harley. I hate going to conventions with Harley because it's like
The Pacific Northwest has an influx of too many Harley Quinn cosplayers. And then they're like, strong female role. And I'm like, that's the female role that you want to choose for a strong woman. What?
well, she does get kicked around by her boyfriend and then her girlfriend. So, she's super strong.
Sure.
I love doing
She's
Ivy.
smart.
Now, Ivy is a lot of fun to do.
Fuck yeah. Oh.
I don't think, have I seen your Poison Ivy? I need to see your Poison
I have
Ivy.
like 5 of them. I could probably find. Oh yeah, there's a dress right there in my closet even.
Ooh. Can I tell you a character that I'm working on?
Yes.
Sure.
I'm doing my first Disney princess.
I'm excited.
Jasmine.
Of course.
Man, I was gonna do Jasmine. Shit.
You would make a stunning Jasmine. Ooh. You in that little like bra thing in the pants. Yeah.
Yep. Hairy
I'm
stomach and all.
I'm doing a Mad Max photo shoot this month sometime.
Ooh.
And
she
tried to reach behind her.
and so I bought cheap muslin because
Yes.
I'm one of the wives.
Oh,
So I just have to make a shirt somehow and a skirt out of this.
So
I believe.
as we continue to wait for Single Dad to come back, if he does, love him to bits. Mayan Goddess, you're up next.
For funny stories.
Funny stories.
So there was, okay, I've never done like a full-on like professional photo shoot until WonderCon. Like I did like location shoots and that was fine. And then like I would show up at conventions, they're like, hey, let's take a quick picture. I'm like, cool. And then like maybe a week before WonderCon, this guy who I had never met before was like, you make a pretty cool Wonder Woman. I make a pretty cool Batman. Let's take some pictures. And I was like, sure, whatever. And and like I'm walking around and he's like, yeah, I'm coming. And I see him and his crew, like there's like a lighting person, like the photographers, they've got like tripods. And I'm just like, what type of like Warner Brothers movie production shit is going, like what? Like had a posse, like a makeup crew and stuff. I'm going, I'm just here. And like it turned out to be a pretty cool shoot, but it was like an hour-long process of like, let's do this pose, let's do this location, let's do this, that, and the other. And they were very professional, and I was just like, I dressed up in funny clothing.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, that was pretty
Right.
much what I was doing. I
Spirit
was like,
fingers.
I just
Spirit fingers.
I'm just gonna do this, and I'll be okay. But yeah, like the shots came out amazingly, but like everything outside of the shot, I was the derpiest derp to ever derp in the history of derping. It was great. I was very
That's
proud of
what I
it.
have to do between shots anyways. I generally will be dancing to the music in my head between shots because that's what keeps me focused.
I went from actually making facial expressions behind my masks, whether it's be Red Hood or Deadpool, and then I slowly realized they can't see my face, so fuck it. So then I went just straight face. So my pose exuberates something interesting, but then behind the mask, I'm just like.
I know. I always
La,
smile
la,
even if
la.
I'm taking a picture.
And now I am doing derp faces on purpose behind the mask because they'll never fucking see it.
No, I'm one of those. I like have to take like even as I'm taking somebody else's picture, I'm like smile.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't stop myself from smiling. There's a camera near me.
So since you mentioned masks, I think it was the first time I ever did Kitana.
Okay.
Who's right back here? Those are fan blades, even though I don't know direction.
Boobies.
My face is on them.
Wait, on
Now
the
you're rubbing
fans
my
or the
face.
boobies? I'm very what?
On your
Both?
fans.
I
Way to
will not.
reassure the fans one more time. Thank you.
But no, like my first time with those fans. There was another girl who was dressed as Jade. Didn't coordinate anything like that, and I was like, oh, can we take a picture together? She's like, yeah, sure. So like we go for a pose, and then like everybody decides to take pictures of us, and we're like, okay, we'll hold this pose. And so we were there for like 20 minutes, just like occasionally changing poses, but like still taking pictures together. And eventually, because we all had masks, we ended up having like this full-on conversation with each other, like while people were taking pictures of us, because I was like, well, we're stuck here. So yeah, I got to learn about our family and all this. And they're like, okay, change poses. Yes, your kid's in kindergarten. This is really cool. Yeah, it was great. Masks are fun.
Nice. J4, you're up, brother.
I don't really have funny stories, except what you just said kind of reminded me of something that happened last year at Ace Comic Con in Seattle.
I was gonna say, what about that photo shoot we did where I went for his nuts or he went for my nuts?
Yes.
Hudson grabs me and goes, hey, we need Deadpool for an Avengers photo shoot. I'm like, yeah, shit, I'm down. So we get down to the steps and Hudson directs my hand to go for Hawkeye, J4's, nuts. And I don't remember the rest of the posing, but that was a funny story.
I think at one point,
Had me
like
at nuts.
literally, there was like 4 guns pointed at you, and you were like doing the Jesus pose. It's hilarious. But no, but last year at Ace Comic Con, that was my first time wearing Thor, R.I.P. And
No.
at one point, like I ended up having to go to the bathroom, so I split off from the group. Went to the bathroom. There was a line to get in, and I happened to be standing next to some random dude that was also trying to get to use the restroom that was in Infinity War Cap. And mind you, like Infinity War had only been out for like a month. So it was still pretty, it was still pretty buzzworthy at the time. And then somebody dressed as the Iron Spider-Man from Infinity War also got in line to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden photographers just started showing up and asking to take our picture, and it's like, so we ended up staying there for like 20 minutes taking pictures until finally we were able to go to the bathroom, and then like we all ended up going out at the same time, and then the same thing. So I was stuck there for like another 20-30 minutes doing different poses and stuff like that with random photographers and random just people walking by and stuff like that. So I'm like away from my group for like 40 minutes, and by the time I finally come back to them, they're like, "Where were you?" I'm like, "Dude."
The struggle is real. I can't even imagine that. Like, first of all, it's difficult to hold the pose, but now you have to hold the fact that you have to use the bathroom.
Yeah, and well, I ended up getting a ton of photos taken that I didn't see most of them. Because of, that was one of the events that Chris Hemsworth was actually supposed to be at that he ended up having to cancel like the day before. Aww. So like there was a ton of people that were going mainly because they wanted to meet Hemsworth. And so I was replacement.
You were the backup Thor.
Yeah.
I feel like
light.
I feel like I have like do not talk to me face when I'm at conventions, because nobody ever like stops me. Like I might get maybe 7 pictures at a convention, because as I walk, I don't know. Maybe I just always have this I'm on a mission.
For me, it depends on what I'm wearing.
But it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. I could be wearing something completely common, something that's way out there, something that's
sexy.
Yeah. I mean, even when I did my slave aerial and I was practically naked, I got maybe 2 people to stop me. I mean, I only had it on for an hour and a half, but it was really cool that day.
Curious the circumstance.
All the questions.
That raised way more questions than it answered.
Really cold that day.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I had my aerial, and then I changed into that, and then I did a photo shoot, and then I walked around for like an hour at the convention.
Yeah, hold on, just to clarify, you changed into something, right? Like all I heard was got out of aerial, then I did a photo shoot, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
I went from Ariel, the Disney princess in the blue dress, the kiss the girl dress.
Uh-huh.
Took that off and put on the slave Ariel, so I didn't have to do the makeup or hair or anything. So I did those two at the same time.
That sounds way
Changed-
better than anything I was thinking of. I'm very happy right now. Hands up here.
Then I walked around naked. It's just my Ariel.
Just got the wig on, carrying a
Wig.
fork. Not
The hair was long,
not even bothering with the seashells.
the hair was long enough to cover all the good bits.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
Single
like-
Dad is now back. So
I think-
before he gets kicked off again, Single Dad,
I think I'm back.
funniest story. Why don't you go before you get kicked off again?
Okay, so let me see if I can get this out real quick. No.
Speed talks it.
So not really funny stories, but I mean, just random shit that happens while you're taking pictures and everything like that. I was working with a cosplayer in Vegas one time, and she was cosplaying Red Sonja, and she had like this head prop that she would use. I mean, it's a severed head that she carried around as a prop and everything like that. And so we're sitting there and we're chit chatting, and she's like, "Well, are there any other poses?" And I was just, we've already had a great shoot and everything, and so I was like, "Okay, have you ever seen Tropic Thunder?"
Oh no.
And she just looks at me and was
God.
like, "Oh God!" And I mean, literally, she just raised the head up and then above her head and just starts licking the neck of it, just like freaking
That's awesome.
that Stiller did in Tropic Thunder. And I mean, and it turned out to be such a great shot. An artist friend of ours actually used that and now has prints based off of it that she sells at her shop and everything like that. And like, I was like, "Oh, holy crap!" So
That's awesome.
I've like got one of my photos now that's immortalized in print form. So I'm pleased as punch. But I mean, there's always those funny stories. We haven't gotten to the crappy stories yet, have we?
No,
No.
not yet.
No.
No.
Okay,
Not
good.
yet.
No. You came
'cause I
back
got lots of
literally
those.
in time.
So
In
I've
fact-
got plenty of those.
I think I might have met you during one of those.
One
I
of the
might have seen
crappy
you in-
ones.
Or no, I didn't meet you, but
One of the
I saw
crappy
you at one
Oh,
where you
yeah.
were like,
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
done.
Mm.
Done.
I think we've done everybody now for funny stories. So now we get to talk about the bad stories, the stories that either pissed us off or somebody else got pissed off. And I'm looking over at Hudson, he's like, I have a list.
Let me get out my Rolodex.
Proceed with caution, without caution. It's up to you, Hudson.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of where to start. There's so many.
narrowing it down.
Beginnings are such delicate times.
Well, I'll just tell you like something that like kind of like really bothers me. Like, it's one of the things that
Yeah.
bothers me the most, and I think it's just because I was at I don't know which con it was. It was Rose City, so it was Rose City, and I was in the middle of a shoot, and a random person, not even a cosplayer, just a random person, like interrupted my shoot and was like, "Are you a photographer? Can you take photos of me?" And I'm like shooting, like I'm literally shooting. I'm like literally shooting.
Mhm.
I'm literally shooting, and she's like, "Can you take some photos of me right quick?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of in the middle of a shoot." She goes, "But it's really important. Like, you know, I look really good today." And I'm like, lady, like there's a
That's
spider.
not how this works.
So I went ahead and I
Selfies are for.
it was like it was so annoying, and when I'm actually usually when I'm at like Rose City, for some reason a lot of people gravitate with me, so like I'll have like 20 or 30 people like waiting in line for me. So I'm like all these people are like waiting for a shoot here. Like I brought all these people to this section just for me, away from everyone else. So I wound up getting like 3 or 4 shots of her. I was like, you know what? Here, let's take some shots really quick. And then she go immediately right after that. She goes, "Well, send the photos to my phone." And I'm like, that's not how
That's
it
not
works.
a thing.
I can't send it to your phone. And then like literally she every 20 to 30 minutes she came back, asked me was my photos ready for like the next 6 hours.
Delete, delete,
And
delete.
that was the first time I deleted someone's photos. Like, I messaged them like an actual video of me deleting their photos. That's the first time I was like, look, lady, like, I'm trying to tell you, like, that's not how it works. I don't even live here. My laptop's in Seattle. I'm in Portland right now. Well, a professional photographer would be ready. I'm like, oh, okay.
A professional photographer has work
Charges
and is
a
busy.
lot of money.
Yeah.
I would have said no.
Yeah, that's about
Yeah, I
that.
remember that.
I was so mad. I was talking about it all the way home, and people were annoyed with me for that.
They're like, you made me annoy my friends.
It's okay. Now she's famous as the one who did that, though.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she achieved something.
She messages me from time to time on different accounts. I forgot to block her on all my accounts. So,
Oh,
so I randomly got a message one day. It was like, hey, remember me? And I was like, no, I don't. I didn't at the time. It's like, I was the one that one time you deleted my photos. It's okay, though. Can we do a shoot next time you come in Portland? Like, oh my God, no. Like, never.
Thank you for reminding me to block you here.
Oh, God. How dense do you have to be? You literally annoyed this person to the point to where they deleted their photos in front of you.
Yep.
And for some reason you think that, yeah, they're gonna want to
That's-
shoot with you again?
that's socially acceptable, and you get a pass, and so next time it'll be better. Yeah, no, that's not the way this works.
That's not how that works, people.
And now we turned it to single dad, who just did the thing. And
Okay,
single
I'm good.
dad, you're up.
I'm back. I'm sorry. My youngest is playing a game right now, and he gets excited when playing video games. So those of us with little ones know they start jumping. And unfortunately, being in the second floor of an apartment, having neighbors downstairs and jumping constantly, not a good thing. So I'm just trying to get him to stop jumping while he's playing. So
How
He's
dare
sitting
you,
down.
adult, right now?
I bought my kids a trampoline, one of those miniature trampolines, and I sit it in the middle of the living room.
oh, do you have somebody that lives beneath you?
I do not, so I do live in a house, so
See, that's
there's that. But
Yeah.
yes, I do know the jumping so bad. But they were on my furniture. They kept jumping on the couch, jumping on the chair, jumping on everything, and I was like,
yeah. No.
trampoline.
No,
The
we don't
look
have
of disgust on her face just now.
I mean, there's already a hole in it that I've patched up, and now there's a new hole in my couch. I'm like,
How did you never underestimate the destruction of a child? Like,
Or a
Oh.
dog.
So real quick story
Anyway,
on that.
sorry.
Holy crap! So when I used to run search and rescue unit, before I joined the Navy, we were all issued Pelican lights. So if you're not familiar with Pelican lights, they're used by a lot of emergency service workers and stuff like that. And we got these lights because we would have to go. We would have to go into dangerous situations where possible gas leaks and stuff like that. So we need something that was hermetically sealed, so that when we turned it on, we wouldn't cause a spark and cause the building to explode or anything like that. So there's actually a warning on Pelican brand lights. It says they have a lifetime guarantee against all defects, any damage or anything like that, but they're warranted for life except for shark bite, bear attack, and children under five. They are those are the three most destructive powers on the planet, apparently.
True.
He's not lying. That fact. We use Pelican for everything that we do on the flight line for a lot of our
Right.
tools and stuff like that.
So with that being said, I'm thank you for backing me up on that one, J4. Bad photo shoots. Really, there's things that happen at photo shoots, and there's one instance that sticks out in my mind that I can talk about. I was at Long Beach Comic-Con, and a friend of mine had gotten a group together. There was an artist that had done, I believe it was the Paper Moon, had done the Sailor Scouts, and all these beautiful different Sailor Moon characters Excuse me, no, they were the EVs, not the Sailor Scouts. They were the EVs. It was the EV group. So all the different
Oh, yeah.
evolutions. And so my friend had asked me, and she was like, she lined it up like months before. She was like, please, we want you to be our photographer. Please come out. And I was like, okay, I'm already going to be at the con. And this is the time that I've set aside for you guys. I set an hour aside for them. And it was great. Then the time came around, the girls were getting together, and then one of the girls' boyfriends decided to start taking pictures of them. It's like, okay, cool. So he got a bunch of shots and everything like that. And I was like, all right, so let me move you over here so that way I'm not taking the same photos, because that's one of the things that I despise is I hate getting the same photo that somebody else has. Same location, same pose. I don't like doing that. So I move them over. And again, I'm dealing with 8 or 9 girls all in cosplay, lining them up, getting them all like arranged in the order of the original artwork. Have them set, got my lights. I'm about to sit there and I'm about to snap the photo, and I've got my finger on the button, and literally a lady walks directly in front of me, kneels down, and then starts taking pictures in my exact line. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then she gets up and turns around and is like, oh, I didn't see you there. And then starts getting all the girls' names and everything like that. And then we find out later that this is the lady that the convention hired from the local newspaper to take photos of the cosplayers and the con and everything like that. And I'm like, great. So my photo that I should have is now in the newspaper, but it's not my photo. It's now this lady's photo. So that kind of irked me is
That's some shit.
when people, you're sitting there, and I've just gotten to the point now. If I'm taking pictures and stuff like that, and if somebody comes up and like, sorry, hey, private shoot, I'll have them ask the cosplayer if it's okay, and if the cosplayer says okay, I'll get up, I'll take a step back, let the other person take photos. But yeah, it just annoys me. And then the only other time that I've had a bad experience is when I actually had a private shoot. It ended up being like a 5-hour shoot with 6 costume changes, 4 different locations. I went all out, and it was a straight TFP, which is trade for prints. So I wasn't making any money off of it. This was just me helping somebody out and trying to be the nice guy. And then come to find out, they kind of backstabbed me. They went to a convention and ran into somebody that is not on my good side. Let's just put it that way. And then started hanging out with this said person, and then started bashing me publicly on social media. So I was like, okay, fine. You no longer have access to the photos. You're not allowed.
Gotta love the social media aspect in these, and I use my quote fingers here, communities.
Right. Yeah. So this is somebody that, and I'll go ahead and say it. This is somebody that met my ex-wife, who still to this day, even 2 years later, is trying to destroy me. And that's whatever her issue is, fine, whatever.
It's okay. We still love you.
I know. Thank you.
Got your back.
So met her and fell for whatever she was selling, whatever she told her, and then started, not a day later, started trashing me, and then like calling me out by name on social media, saying how horrible I was, and everything. I was like, what did I do? And so I was like, okay, fine. You can't use those photos. You can't share them. I contacted any of the share sites that had used them. I was like, hey, she doesn't have permission to use these. Please take them down. So I tried to be professional about it. She tried to be a child about it.
And that's how that is handled.
Yeah. And it's a shame because it's like, as cosplayers and photographers, like, we're not a big pool, and it's a very small world. It's a very small circle. And so I feel like if you do trash talk, either one, people are going to call you out on it, and two, it really does make an impact. Like,
Yes.
people catch on really quick, either whether you're doing something stupid or whether you're not.
Yes.
And I'm not going to jump into my story.
No. And that's perfectly fine. And what's funny is, she accused me of like talking to other photographers and telling them not to work with her, which is completely opposite. I actually had some buddies in her local area like, hey, and how is she to work with? I'm like, she's fine to work with. And she's an absolute delight. She's a great model. She's a great talent, and work with you if you can. I just won't ever work with her again. That's my personal choice. But I'm not going to trash talk somebody. I mean, they made a mistake. They crossed the line, so I cut them off from benefiting from my work. That's all.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and throw it over to Mayan Goddess, because she's practically chomping at the bit to tell her story.
So I'll say this from like the cosplay perspective. Cosplay is not consent. That's a thing. That's there for a reason. And I had, so this one particular photographer and videographer, actually, it was like a little trio, wanted to take pictures and stuff like that, and kind of like barged in to take pictures, kind of similar to the whole Evie incident, but then like didn't say anything, and like we kind of like met up afterwards and was like, hey, you took a picture, here's my card, kind of thing. And then I come to find out that they were pictures of not my face.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and the video in particular. Yes,
yep.
he knows which one.
Yeah.
In the video there was like a video collaboration that I showed up on. Unfortunately, my face was showing in that one, but it was like videos and like kind of zoom in segments of not people's faces. So that, fortunately, and this one does have a happy ending. A lot of people like cracked on like, hey, we need to find out who this is, blah, blah. And so like word spread around very quickly on social media. We need to find these people, and they need to not be at conventions anymore. And so fortunately, someone saw my post saying like, hey, I'm in this video. We need to shut this down now. I'm so not comfortable with this. And a fairly large name in the LA, San Diego community, Sean Richter was like, get me his name, get me his picture, get me the video, all this. And the video got taken down. There are some conventions that he did get banned from, though. Apparently the trio has been seen again. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it is one of those things where you're just like, bitch, really?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I've also had incidents where like people are like, hey, I'm gonna lift you. And I'm like, no, the fuck you're not. Like in Kitana and Wonder Woman, where like there are chonies that could be exposed. No, the fuck you're not. Like, no. So yeah, cosplay not consent is there for a reason. Moral of the story.
And speaking of, throwing it to Cosplay Jenemy, our other lovely lady, why don't you go ahead and share a horror story?
Well, mine is a dispute, I guess, with a photographer because of issues. When I lived in Louisiana, I had this friend who she did most of my family photography. She started doing all of those. She was mostly a family and birth photographer. There wasn't a whole lot of cosplay photographers in my area, so I had a hard time getting photos to begin with when I first started doing cosplay outside of conventions. And so when I first brought doing cosplay photos with her, I told her what I wanted, and that I possibly wanted these for being able to do prints. I was paying her for the rights to these photos, and I went through like the long laundry list of things of what I wanted and how we were going to go about doing this. And we came up with the price and how we were going to go about tackling all the legal side effects of everything, because it was really the first time I had ever wanted somebody to do things in that direction. So we came to agreement. Everything was great. We went, took these pictures. We did about 4 different photo shoots in one day. It was one of those where quick changes, just trying to get a bunch together all at one time. A few weeks later, within, a nice thing, she had started working with another company, or she started working with a company that did photography. So she wanted to utilize their website to post my photos on. When I went to download these photos, up popped the contract. Contract was nothing that we discussed. The contract was cookie cutter based for that family photography group. And so I contacted her and I said, I can't download any of these photos because then I can't use them for what I wanted to use them for. Mind you, I've already paid her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, well, I need to contact the owner and see what they say. And I was like, okay, that'd be great. I don't hear back from her. 2 weeks later, I send her another message. She's like, oh, they're out of town right now, so I'm gonna have to get back to you when they get out of town. I let it go another 2 weeks before contacting her again, and I'm like, am I ever gonna get these photos? And she's like, well, I don't really know what we can do at this point. And then she didn't respond, and then she stopped responding to me. Mind you, this is like a friend. I've known her for years. She has done my kids' photos since their like first birthday. And so now she's not talking to me or responding. And then she was pregnant at the time, so then she gives birth. And so now I'm sitting here with these photos, and I was like, fine, whatever. So I signed the contract, and so now I have a whole book of stuff that I can't technically use. So at some point, I was like, hey, I'm going to have these as my donation photos. You give me a donation to Cosplay Genemy, and I will hand you a free photo.
Nice.
Which is a little slimy, but I wouldn't do that.
I mean,
if I didn't go through the whole thing already.
Yeah, the whole situation in and of itself is shit slimy. So
it kind of sucks that like she can be like, hey, I did these before I worked with the company.
Or like just sent them to me on her own. I don't know why she couldn't why she kept wanting to, because we'd always gone through a third company prior to this, where she didn't have a contract for me to sign. She had always had given me the rights to my photos, just family photos, which I wasn't going to do anything with. And so by the time I did utilize her as something more, I still have a whole notebook, and this is like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And I still have this whole notebook of photos that I can't do really anything with.
Donate to Cosplay Genemy and get these pictures right now, so she doesn't have to do it all. Donate to her right now.
Like, some of these are like my favorite because I use my Supergirl and my Wonder Woman, my steampunk Supergirl and Wonder Woman. Those are 2 of them that came from that photo shoot.
Wow.
And so that Wonder Woman, which also has an awful story with, which it was the first commission thing I ever did on Etsy, and they screwed me over, didn't send it on time, kept telling me they sent it on time, sent me the wrong size, it was way too big, nothing was to my measurements, and ended up, when I went to go back and do a bad review on her, she'd closed down her shop, and so that steampunk Wonder Woman, I already have a hatred for that, and then it turned around and then tried to do that photo shoot, and that photo shoot blew up with that one, so I'm like,
so what you're saying is it's cursed.
my steampunk Wonder Woman is completely cursed. Yeah.
Gotcha. And speaking of curses, no, I'm just kidding. J4. Why'd you go ahead, brother? If you have any.
I really don't, honestly.
He's just such a nice guy.
Well, I'm generally Yeah, I have a very small group of people that I'll actually do photo shoots with, and the photographer that I work with will usually be somebody that I've met through a friend, that I have confidence that I'll actually like have a good time with. I mean,
Like
there's
someone we know.
yeah, maybe. But no, I think there was one. I mean, there's one photographer that I've worked with before. He always kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. But like, put it off. Guy's just kind of awkward, whatever. And then come to find out, he's trying to talk to my wife about just doing photo shoots with just her, and just kind of like being kind of like weird about it, like doesn't want me there, kind of a thing. Which, yeah,
Nope.
it kind of weirded her out as well, and so yeah, we don't work with that guy anymore.
I love that Hudson and I are both sitting here nodding, going, I think we know exactly who he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, Hudson's also informed me that other people have made comments about that guy, about him making them uncomfortable. So, yeah. So yeah, we don't work with that guy anymore. But other than that, no, I really haven't had any bad experiences with photographers. Yeah.
Well, so it's my turn. If they hear the podcast, well, they should do some self-reflecting because I'm about to put them on an almost blast level.
I'm so excited about this.
So there was some situations going on, a lot of trash talking going on behind the scenes, and we had done a photo shoot. A couple of buddies of mine had gotten together. They did vape, so they were vaping enough that it created a smoke effect for my Shazam photo. Now I will give full respect. He made my Shazam look amazing. Like, it's the one photo that I am very proud of that is out there, that I did not use a selfie camera and have my girlfriend photo edit it to make it better, because it's a professional photo. But the problem is during the photo shoot, he's looking through the camera the entire time going, these photos are awesome. I can't wait to get these back to you. I'm like, sweet, cool. About a month and a half goes by, and me and my buddy joke about, because it was snowing at the time, and we joked about, how sometimes the difference between taking a photo with a camera and it takes a while to get back to you versus taking a fucking phone with you to use the photos, right? So I'm like, so can you get those photos back to me? Being jokeful, and he jokes back and he goes, nah man, it's gonna take me a couple of months to edit these. And so we're just cracking these jokes, and of course a certain somebody hears us crack these jokes and immediately spills the beans to a certain person, and the certain person then proceeds to message me going, if you have a problem with me, say it to my face. And so I go, okay, let's do this. So I told him, I'm like, first of all, I have messaged you on 3 accounts asking you where my photos are. You have read all 3 messages and have not responded. You are constantly ignoring me and avoiding me. Going out of your way to work with other people and add on to your workload. So you sent me 1 photo, nothing. And I'm like, if the photos aren't great, cool, I can live with that, but at least let me know so I can stop sitting here waiting on you so that I can move on with my life. And he goes, I'm sorry, man, I should have told you. Yeah, the photos didn't end up really good at all. Only that 1 photo. And I'm sitting here going, how much you want to bet this is because of some pissy fights and some trash talking and some drama that this guy decided to say, I'm going to rope Tom Cruise into it and I'm not going to give him his photos back. That's exactly what it ended up happening. I'm not okay with it because some of those photos were really good, and I spent months hoping to get something to put out there for Shazam. And it's like, on one hand, I totally respect when people are busy. That's why I never bug Hudson, like almost ever. If we ever take photos, I wait until he's ready to send them to me, or until he puts it on his story saying, so I got a backlog. I am so sorry if I haven't gotten pictures out to you. Let me know. And then that's when I hit him up. I go, am I part of that? He'll go, yes, I am so sorry. Let me get those back to you. I'll send them to your Dropbox. I'm like, cool, sweet. So I get the photos. But, I mean, this person sat there and legitimately went on to say that he didn't get anything from me. And I'm like, I've got proof in the pudding. I got several messages. And says you've seen, says you've read, and you're avoiding me like the plague. But you're sitting here having conversations with other people. Like, come on, man. If you don't like the photos, be an adult about it. Just tell me, hey, I didn't like the photos, and then I can move on with my life. I have no hate with you. That's fine. But yeah, and then of course, hilariously enough, after that conversation, he blocks me on Instagram and unfriends me on Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, that's that nail in the coffin that lets me know there was a drama moment happening, and that you were a part of the drama. So that's my only bad story, because anything else, I've had so much fun with photographers, and I don't always do it unless I'm at a convention, and I'm not always at conventions. So yeah, that's really my only bad moment, was just a simple matter of communication and lack thereof, and some drama, because, you know, God forbid you should be your own adult, not rope yourself into somebody else's pettiness and just feel like, I didn't like the photos, or edit the photos. I don't know. I just know that
communication.
That was
Yeah.
yes, communication. Seriously, message it 3 times.
Can I share one
Yes,
extra
you
story?
can.
I'm cashing in on one extra story, and only because I'm with 2 photographers who I'm hoping will either like second me on this uncomfortable notion, or be like, there's a reason, because I would love to be.
Let's put
Correct
it
me
out
if I'm
there
wrong.
so we
Yeah.
get the information.
So there is one photographer that I will not work with again, and it was because we show up to the shoot, and like I've got like my 2 outfits ready. I was like, okay, I've got 2. That's all we're gonna do, and then I eventually have to go home because I have like a family that I like to hang out with and stuff. So I show up, and we start doing these pictures, and he goes, okay, that's cool. So now I have all these outfits in my car that I want you to change into. And I went, what? And he opens it up, and he's got all these shirts, and he's like, can you model this for me? And I was like,
how much you paying me?
Yeah, I was just like, it would have been nice to know beforehand so I can like adjust accordingly, so I wouldn't have spent so much time on a certain outfit kind of thing, because time. And he was like, oh, don't worry, it's just for me. And I went, it's no. So he wanted me to pose in these leggings that were his, and in the shirt that was his.
I'm sorry.
And I just went, yeah, I'm not working with you again. It was so, I was just like, nope. And then the pictures came out, and I didn't like them. And I felt really bad.
Of course.
But there was one picture that I could use that I was like, okay, cool, thank you so much for this, and gave him credit and stuff like that. But like, I was just like, yeah, I was so, like, everything about it, just, I was like, stranger danger.
Never use the words just for me.
Thank you.
Like,
This is my private collection.
I did have a photographer at a convention, and it was just like one of those, he was there, he was one of the press actually, and he was taking pictures in front of the backdrops, and he was, you know, going through like, hey, can you do this pose, can you do this pose? And then he was like, hey, can you remove your cape from your outfit so I can see your backside better?
Wait.
Can I take a part of my cosplay off?
I know I've known some people who have heard things like that before, and it's just like, wow. Yeah.
Like, making adjustments to like
You
turning it
mean
around
the
or like flying, I can understand, but like
Having like pulling it
take
up
your-
and having like a power pose or something.
that's been happening a lot with Captain America cosplayers
But
lately.
but to say take off the cape, it's the bombshell Batgirl, and so it's a backpack, and then the cape's coming out of the backpack.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm like, I can hold the thing. But
Yeah. It's kind of like the cosplay version of takes your clothes off but slowly.
yeah.
Like that's the vibe that I get from that.
It's like, all right, turn around, let's do a power pose. I know you're trying to get my butt, whatever. But then when you're like, take it off, then it's like, no.
Choose
Too
your
far.
words wisely, ladies and gentlemen. That's the lesson here.
That's like telling a Deadpool cosplayer, okay, take the mask off so we can see what's underneath. No, girl, that's no.
Well, okay, but to
To be fair. I knew it was coming.
As a Deadpool cosplayer, when someone asks me to take the mask off, it's not so much like a creepy factor. It's more of a, you do realize I'm not wearing the makeup, right? Like if I take the mask off, it's gonna be.
You're not gonna have the effect anymore, which is the same thing.
Oh no, au contraire. I've actually seen it at a convention where somebody had their mask and underneath they had the freaking Hugh Jackman face and everything like that. I attached it was glued. It wasn't stapled, of course, because that would.
Which
Darn.
I fully
obviously.
I fully
Blood.
intend to get a face of the actor Tom Cruise and put that on my face because
That'd
my
be
name
hilarious.
for the namesake.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Eventually.
Just be careful because Justin Bieber will come after you. He wants to fight you apparently.
Okay.
He's like, yeah.
Pretty sure I could take Justin Bieber. He's Canadian.
Not if he's got Floyd with him.
Well, then he's not fighting you. It's Floyd. fighting.
Floyd. Yeah.
So to be
Floyd
fair,
what?
if
To be
fair. To be
fair. I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, you know what? At least I got killed by someone worthy.
Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't even fight Floyd Mayweather. He just dance around and you get tired.
Literally what he.
Go collect your like $17 million.
Right. Okay, and now the last question of this podcast. A lesson learned from a photo shoot, something you learned for the future, whether or not to do it again or, oh, hey, I should use that for the future. I could do this again or do this better. Hudson's got his thinking cap on.
I've got one.
I've got one too.
Yeah, you learn a lot, like with strange people.
We're all a little crazy, aren't we?
Well, I think the one thing that I learned is that like there's a dealing with so many people, there's a lot of different ideologies in the world, you know, and I'm realizing that, and I think a lot of people will fight for a cause, not realizing that they're doing exactly what they're fighting. You see what I'm saying? Like, so they will say, well, I don't like this person, and if you shoot with this person, we can't be friends. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you're basically bullying me, and you're trying to bully me. And then when I say, well, that's fine, unfollow me, they turn into the okay, well, if you're not with us, you're against us. I mean, like, you're literally bullying me, and you're trying to say that you don't want me to hang out with this person because they're a bully or they've harassed you or things like that. You're literally doing the exact same thing by doing that. You know what I mean? So if you come at me to tell me that don't hang out with this person because of this, I can make my own choices. I'm an adult, so I've learned to actually have to stand up for myself a little more instead of just saying, okay, I won't shoot with you guys together. Now I've kind of been put in a place where I just tell people, like, if you say I don't like this person, why? I immediately go, why? Well, because of this. Do you have proof of that? Well, I don't really want to get into that. Well, see, then don't even get out of my DMs. And I've been putting people on blast more lately on my page. I'm trying to stop that, but at the same time, I have to sometimes. I'm like, you know, if I post somebody on my page, I learned to just stand up for it. If I post this person and another person DMs me and say, this person did this and this and this and this and this. I mean, like, if you don't have anything to back that up, then you can't just expect me to take word for word. You know what I mean? It's your word.
That to you?
Yeah.
Yes.
That happens all the time. So sometimes you see my rants, and I know people have seen them before, and it's because that very thing happens where I can post Tom Cruise, or I can post someone else, and then someone who may have had an issue with them in the past will say, you can't post that person because of this. I'm like, well, like, that's your opinion. You know what I mean? That can be your opinion, your ideology. You may not just like something that they've done. You know what I mean? You tell them. Don't tell me. Tell that person. Go to that person, to their face, and say, I don't like you because of this, and be an adult and move on. So one thing I can tell you is that, like, I've learned to, like, you have to stand up for yourself when those situations happen, because it's one of the reasons why I've been kind of shied away from cosplay a little more, and I've been doing like more mainstream photography, and it's because of that very reason. So there you go.
In all honesty, I don't blame you.
I mean, that's why I'm shying away from a lot of my community in terms of civilians, because that's a lot of what I've seen, and that's why I wanted to start this podcast, because I honestly miss my military family. Like, in an episode we already had, as Mayan Goddess had so eloquently put, you know, you can't just trade one bag of shit, because you're going to end up with another bag of shit. You know? But at the same time, I have seen more in-your-face honesty, integrity, more loyalty, more trying to be better and be a good person, stand up for your beliefs, and not belittle other people because of their beliefs in the military. Now, I get that there are a lot of rotten eggs in the military. I respect that. But out of my experiences, the people that I know that are military, like everybody on this freaking podcast, we're adults enough to sit there and go, oh, you have a problem with that person? Not my circus, not my monkeys. You handle your business, be an adult, take care of your situation. Don't drag me into the middle of it, because I don't want to be a part of it. That's your drama. I don't need to be a part of it. Maybe you should be an adult.
I just want to add on one thing. One thing that I'm sorry to jump into this again.
No,
One thing I want to say is that, you know, being in the military, I kind of learned that you're gonna have people who came back from the military who have issues. They're gonna have their own issues, and I was in the military, so I have my own issues as well. I'm not going to turn my back on someone else in the military that may have an issue. I'm going to stand with them to try to see them through it. They may do some piece of crap stuff, but it's just like having a drunk uncle. You don't turn away from your drunk uncle. Your drunk uncle is still in the room. He's still in the bedroom. You know, you just tell him, hey, you know, take the bottle from him. You know what I mean? Teach him. You know, that's what you gotta have to do. So to tell somebody you're gonna just turn your whole back on them, that's not right. There has to be some way of, there has to be some form of redemption. Regardless of what you do, there has to be some there. So I've learned that in this community that there's not a lot of that in the world anymore. So I've been trying to stand up for that. Well, if you have some issues, if you think somebody's doing something wrong, okay, let us know. Let us work on it. It's not gonna ban them for life or something. That, I mean, hell, I'm a black guy. If that happened in America where nobody investigated anything, I would have been arrested for so many things if nobody ever investigated in my life. True. You see what I'm saying? So I come from a different perspective. So I'm never going to turn my back on someone, especially someone in the military who I know the military may have created some of those issues, not intentionally, but because they've been away from family and reacting different to things of that nature. So sorry.
Yeah, you almost got arrested for
Batman.
taking pictures of Batman. Yeah.
I got almost arrested for actually just having camera equipment in my car at LK.DESIGNZ.
Oh, yeah.
Just having camera equipment.
Ah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, see, what I loved about what he just said is we've said this so many times on this podcast. It's kind of like the cornerstone of why we're doing what we're doing. We've said it. We talked about all this so many times, and it's like, it's nice when another member of the military gets on our podcast, says exactly everything we've already said on previous episodes, just to reaffirm the listeners who aren't fully military. Hey, guess what? We're a great community. Come join us. We're not going to treat you like shit unless you deserve to be treated like shit. But I mean,
we'll tell you your shit to your face.
Yeah,
Yes.
We're going to tell you your shit head, and then we're going to correct your shit. Okay, that's what the military is all about. So, but yeah, I agree 110%. Being in the same community around Hudson, I've learned a lot of the same things. Funny enough, I've been told so many times to stay silent, and it's kind of worked out in my favor.
Shut your pie hole. Just so you know. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I that's a thing that I'm learning too is I remember I was just trying to get my motivation going, and I was watching a video for the creeds, and I was checking out the Air Force Creed, the Navy Creed, the Army Creed, and I was just watching these really cool advertisements made, and I'm going, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? I am letting these people on the internet pulley me around and push me around and tell me what I can and cannot say, and can and cannot do, and who I can and cannot hang out with. I'm a motherfucking army soldier. I may have not had any combat experience, but goddamn, where's my testes? I should be telling these people, yo, that is your problem. Fuck off. Like,
If you're with a partner, your partner has it.
Yep. So yeah, I agree. I'm on the same lesson as Hudson here. So now it's single dad's turn. This might be a 2-hour long episode. Holy fuck.
And that's fine because we got everybody here plus one.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not
This is a very
complaining.
special occasion.
Yes, that's fine.
We're making up for lost time.
Yes. So here we go. One of the biggest lessons I've learned, and if you follow me and either my single dad or my point blank shot photography page, you'll know this that I advocate this. I talk about it. Cosplay is not consent, people. Okay. Cosplay is not consent. I can't tell you how many times I've stopped a photo shoot, and not just for somebody being a jackass and stopping and like taking my shot and everything like that. That's already been discussed. But I mean, if I'm in a shoot, and I've talked to other photographers about this, if I'm a shoot and we're away from the convention or something like that, and then other people just start gathering around, it's like, hey, no, stop. You need to ask. You need to ask if you're going to take a picture. Another big thing is I was at a convention. I was with a friend of mine, and she's a cosplayer, and so people were wanting to take pictures, and some guy said, "Hey, can I take a picture?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." And he came up and just about bear hugged her, and she's like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I mean, you asked to take a picture. I mean, that does not mean you have physical contact rights. That does not mean you can come up and touch me. That does not mean anything. You need to ask first. And as a photographer, I can't tell you how many times I've stopped photo shoots and stuff like that where a cosplayer does want that quote unquote power pose, or they do want the over the shoulder shot so they can feature their asset. Let's just put it politely. And then as soon as they turn around, a bunch of dudes show up, and then you can see where their phones or their cameras are pointed. And it's like, whoa, stop. And I'll stop in the middle of shooting and everything like that. And I've had cosplayers do it too, and they're like, "No, fuck you. You're not taking a picture of my ass. You did not ask me." And so, cosplay is not consent.
And about 90% of the time, we're gonna say yes.
If you
so
ask,
all you gotta do is ask.
And that's the thing. And so many people don't realize that, and they just want that quick shot, and they're in and out. And I understand that there's a bunch of and being military, you guys, I hope you all will understand this. There's a bunch of civilians at cons too. People that are that aren't cosplay or convention goers. They just happen to be there. It may be their first con or something like that, and so they don't know how to behave and everything like that. So I'm usually pretty gentle with ones that I can tell that aren't around the con scene and everything like that. But the guys that
speaking, they'll be trying to get pictures from half a block away.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So those I don't mind as much because they're just trying to
It's
Like,
when
what the what?
Emerald
they're
City
just trying
Comic
to take
Con.
a picture, but they're too awkward to ask, so they're doing it from really far away. And then those I don't mind. Usually, if I catch them, I'll turn around and I'll smile and then just kind of say something. But
Yeah,
it's
no.
fun to get up into your
Again,
face.
Yeah,
let me kind of touch on that, and the exact same trio that Mayan was talking about earlier. Yeah, I busted them on 2 different occasions at one event, and they were upstairs and they were using zoom lenses to focus on what turned out to be
Oh yeah, absolutely. If
and-
they have a camera, then no, that's different.
an underage girl. So a girl that was either 15 or 16 years old, and they're zooming in, and then then afterwards, when the video came out, which was eventually removed, hearing what they were saying about her as they were recording her unknowingly. So yeah. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Not the innocent people that are like, oh, we didn't know. That's one thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There are
yeah,
specific
definitely.
predators that are out there.
I wish that oh God, I don't remember which branch he's in, but he lost his eye and replaced his eye with the glass eye that has the Captain America shield in it. And he's been widely known now all over social media. If he finds out someone's a sexual predator, especially when they're children, he chases them down and beats them up to about an inch of their life. He's all over social media. I don't know if you guys know about this guy, but I wish he was at that con at that day, because if he had seen that, it would have been like jump session right there. You would just beat the shit out of that guy. And that's how I feel.
Real American heroes.
Not all
America.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. No, that makes me think of the new sign right now at Emerald City Comic Con. J4 and Hudson can confirm this. There's a big old sign that that's got rules, regulations, do's, and don'ts. I think what's funny is still at Emerald City Comic Con, these people know about cosplay is not consent and ask before you take photos. There'll be a photo shoot sitting right there at the corner. There's just a giant gathering around the photo shoot of like 20 different people pulling out their phones, getting photos. And it's just like, I'm looking up at the sign that says, if there's a photo shoot in progress, please do not snipe. And I'm like, really? The sign's right there. The irony. Right now.
Sniper, no sniping.
Snipe on, sniper.
So, yeah. Cosplay's not consent, motherfuckers.
Yeah. I will say this, it is nice seeing those signs pop up at more conventions, and it really does make an impact, because that particular incident, they did not have those cosplays not consent signs everywhere, and it, like, you could tell.
Yeah.
Was this the Bat Tentacle episode?
Possibly?
Oh my god.
I think we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the con you guys did.
I think. Yeah.
It might have been. Yeah, it was right after.
Yeah,
it was right after that.
The second episode ever.
They're notorious.
Jesus. The bad humor in it's bad timing, but why are a whole bunch of grown dudes chasing after me dressed up as real tentacle monsters? So for Hudson, to get a recap, Cosplay Genevieve was at a convention. And Jen, why don't you go ahead and you tell the story real fast again about how like the little girl wore a hat that said hentai all over it.
Oh yeah, no, she had on the mask.
Yeah, a mask that just said hentai written all over it, and her dad was none the wiser. And J4, being the hilarious guy that he is, goes, "Why are all these weird old tentacle monsters chasing after me?"
I mean, she couldn't have been like maybe 15. She was probably younger than that.
Puberty is really, really fun. Hey.
What? And like the person selling the mask wasn't like,
they don't
hey,
care. They're making money.
Just so you know,
they don't care. They're making
this
money.
might not be the wisest selection for her.
Oh my gosh, we were at like a family cosplay gathering, and there was someone there selling like these little like hats that said like yaoi and like hentai and stuff, and I'm like, no. What?
My body just full on twitch just now thinking about that stuff.
It's like,
oh no.
And now we throw it to Mayan Goddess. You're up. Lessons learned.
Lessons learned. If I were to give advice to anyone, whether it's photography or from the photography side or the cosplay side, like either side of the lens, it is okay to say no.
Yes.
It is okay to say no. And it's really hard because I've been in situations where it's like, I have no idea and I'm really uncomfortable, but I really, really want the attention because I'm an attention whore.
We
But-
all are.
Or you go on living your life, and then you go, you know what? I didn't get enough material, and now I have nothing to post.
Yeah, yeah. So it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I've had scenarios where like photographers will come up and I'm just like getting this really uncomfortable vibe, but I'll still say yes, and you do regret it. Or like in the case of like someone saying like, oh, I really want to shoot with you, because I'm feeling cute. Like you can say no, and it's perfectly okay. And if someone does say no to you, that's okay. Like there are other opportunities out there. So yeah.
I had to learn that this year because my Deadpool was the first time bringing my new Deadpool made by White Sheep Leather. Holler to those guys. I'll be hitting them up with another cosplay soon, I'm sure. $350 and an entire suit. It's awesome. Video game version. No one's doing it, so I'm walking through Emerald City Comic Con. Lots of people stopping me for photos of Deadpool. Finally, it's the end of the con, and I'm fucking tired. So I did what my buddy Zach Wilkes told me: is just take the mask off. Take the mask off. Unzip the front. Make it look like you're obviously done for the day. And I had at least 2 people still try to ask me photos, and I said, "Nah, man, I'm sorry. I'm whooped. I'm tired. I'm not taking any photos right now." One guy had the fucking balls to tell me, "Well, that's not very Deadpool. Like Ryan Reynolds would never dismount the whole suit." And I about turned around and went, "Do you want me to shove the mask up your ass? Because that's what's about to fucking happen, you son of a bitch. Like, who the fuck?"
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have to have that with my ankle because like my foot has limits. So like
Yeah.
certain outfits where I'm in heels, like if my foot's done, like we gotta go. And there was one time at WonderCon when I was doing Kitana and I said, hey, my ankle's done. And it took me about an hour and a half to get home because people were just like, can you stop for just a picture? I was like, no, I gotta get to my room. I gotta get out of this like now kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, definitely like no is a word.
No, it was a
You
word.
can use it. It's okay. You can say no. I'm sorry, but no. Like you can throw little like blurbs, but no. It's okay to say no.
Or
And-
move away from the situation as
And
fast as you can.
Yeah.
cosplayers, please remember, photographers need breaks too.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I can't tell you, and at this same convention, it was Long Beach. I was sitting down. I was having, I'd been on my feet all day. I was sitting down, finally resting, and I was sitting down with 2 friends of mine having a beer, and somebody came up and was like, "Hey, can I get some quick pictures?" I was like, "I'm sorry, no, I'm on break right now. I can't. I'm here with my friends. I'm trying to relax." And he was like, "Well, I'm about to leave and I'm not coming back tomorrow." I was like, "All right, well, thanks. Have a good day." Sorry.
I know all about that.
It's like, I'm sorry.
Congratulations.
But yeah, but that's the thing is like, this is somebody that had been following me. I don't think they follow me anymore. And I think they may have stopped following me or they've stopped liking my post. I haven't heard from them since then. And I'm like,
Well, how
I
dare
honestly
you
thought you were talking about me
not-
just now. I honestly thought because yeah, that happened this weekend.
I've had moments with Hudson just like this. Lessons learned. One
Yeah.
con, I waited around his area, hoping for photos. Turn your
Photos?
mic off, so there's no echo. Yeah, for photos. I was waiting around for photos. No photos happened. So as time passed, at the next time, Emerald City this year, my girlfriend and I, Ruby Echo, we were just walking around. We just wanted to say hi. He had nothing better to do, and we just wanted to chill out, hang out, see how he was. So he goes, "Get in that area," and we're like, "I'm sorry, what?" And he goes, "Yeah, get in the area. Let's take your photo." Later on, he tells us, "You didn't look like you wanted your photo taken, so it's much more comfortable grabbing photos with you and much more chill."
So I'll tell you why.
Let me
Prior to
explain
that-
myself.
Prior to that, he would always. It's one of those things I started doing to people because he would just expect me to take his photo. He's my, we cool, but he would just expect it. So I'd have like a schedule of people ready to take photos, and he would show up when he wants to show up, and then go, "I'm ready." Okay, so I let him stand there for like almost 5 hours. And I didn't say anything to him. He just kept saying, "Are you ready?" "Yeah, in a minute." And I just kept doing that. I kept doing that. Finally, he left, and I'm like, "All right, So next time I see you at a con, I'll take your photo because you didn't stand. Like he stood there for 5 hours. I let him stand there.
Good boy. Oh, good job. I said good boy like a dog.
Let's also admit he was doing this to a lot of other people too.
I did it to like 30 people that day. Oh yeah, I'll be right in a minute. Stay right there. I'll be right there.
Oh god.
And this year too, there were several cosplayers like, "Why aren't you taking my photo?" And Hudson's like, "Because I'm busy." And he wouldn't be doing anything. He'd just be checking the photos, making sure they're cool. "Can you take my photo now?" "No, I'm busy." It's just like "fuck off" written all over his face.
Sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself this year. I was a little mad at everybody. So yeah.
Right.
Not at
Rightfully
me.
so.
Not yet.
No, yeah,
Couldn't
not everyone.
tell
Not,
at
it's like,
all.
not yet.
Yet.
Not yet. Keyword yet.
Anyway.
I'm over that though. It's just I learned to just stand up a little more now. So just say, hey, I can't. Yeah. So right on, single dad. Just tell people you can't. You're
Yeah.
And now cosplay Jenemy. Lessons learned.
I'm pretty sure we've like covered all. I was like, say no. Cosplay and consent. I don't know now.
Fair enough.
No,
don't go
no, no.
alone.
Yeah,
Don't
don't
go
go
alone.
alone. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, but I've never gone alone anywhere, so other than like with
Yeah.
my girlfriend. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of.
I made that mistake once.
I'm kind of building up on this idea. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. So far, it's just been out of my phone. But I have learned from a couple of my photographer friends who've sat there and who get really annoyed when they're the ones who have to tell you how to pose. Especially if you've worked with them on multiple occasions. Cough, cough, Hudson, cough, cough. I see heavy nods like, yep. So honestly, I've been doing research and go, you know what? I'm going to get prepared. I'm going to get my
I
phone
gotta
out.
get better at that.
Yeah, and look up poses, look up moments with characters. Like right now, I don't want to keep doing the same poses with Captain America. So as I'm reading comic books that have Captain in them, I'll be like, that's a doable pose. I can do that, and I'll take the photo. So lesson learned. If the photographer doesn't have any poses for you, and you certainly don't think you're gonna have any poses, check up the Google machine and look up something cool for that character, and be like, you know what, that's doable. Let's do this.
Well, you also need to know your own body and what you can and can't do, and what looks good for you. Because just because a pose looks great in a comic book, especially when it's a girl, they do not change, and they are not actually logical poses especially for girls. Comic book characters are awful. You cannot copy those.
What was that famous Mary Jane one? Where she's like sitting here and I'm like,
oh yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh my god, I tried to do that.
I also want to. Yeah, right. Yeah, I also want to say, just think, some for like cosplay photographers, sometimes we're taking like a photo of Deadpool 15 times probably in a weekend of con. So that same pose in the same locations are going to get tiring to us sometimes. And I don't mean it in like any disrespect to anyone's cosplay, but it's just like, if I take the same photos, you're literally, I don't know. Okay, you're both for Deadpool. I don't know whose shot this was. So.
Or, you know, a lot of photographers are building a portfolio basically. So it's like, because Hudson and I were talking about my future Aquaman stuff, and you know, I was bringing stuff up, and his response was literally, "Yes, I have not shot Aquaman, nor you as Aquaman. That is doable. We can work with that. I've already done the same pose, same environment, same everything with other cosplays. I don't want to keep doing that anymore. I've already got that in my portfolio."
It is true. There are some times where people are like, "Oh, can you do your power pose?" And I was like, you could look up some of my other pictures where I do the power pose, and I've done them for the last like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, J4? You got any lessons learned?
Don't be a dick.
No, I totally disagree with this. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to be a dick.
I mean, fair, but like, just in general, like, don't be the first person to be the dick. How about that?
That I can. Yes.
How about or reword it. Not so much be a dick, because sometimes you gotta be a dick. Don't be an idiot.
That also true. And then as a guy, that's straight and white and a millennial, I don't go anywhere without my wife when it comes to this kind of stuff, because the accusations that come out will absolutely destroy people. So if I'm with my wife, ain't nobody accusing me of anything. And if they do accuse me, good game. She'll fucking end you.
Yeah, I literally start wearing, like, for shoots that are away from the cons, I actually wear a GoPro and send it on my chest before I turn it on before I even get out of the car. Like, you guys know this. So, like, it's like I put a GoPro on my chest and, like, I start it. It runs for 6 hours. My shoots last about an hour to 2 hours, but that GoPro's running the entire time. And I've had people say, "Well, we don't need that." I'm like, "Well, the shoot's over." that ends the shoot, But yeah, I wear a GoPro at all my shoots that are away from cons.
Yep.
Just to be safe. That's really smart. I would never thought of that.
Protect yourself.
Yeah.
Cover your
hey-
ass.
Hate to say it, but it exists, and it fucking sucks because it takes away from the real voices. But there are people out there who decide that for whatever reason they think that they have been hurt some way, and they decide to make a false accusation about people and try and ruin people.
People be
Not
crazy.
today. Not if I got that GoPro on my chest. You're not.
And on that note, it is kind of like a shame because there are instances where like you do need to report things bad that happen.
Absolutely.
But it gets to the point where it's like some people take that as, oh well, I want to end that person, or I want to get revenge, so I'm gonna do this. And it's like that is just jumping way into the extreme. And so it gets to the point where it's like the people that do want to report something that legitimately happened are afraid to, because it's like, well, people are just going to throw it out back in my face. And it's like, no, that like, it shouldn't be used. Like that type of accusation is a very serious one, and it shouldn't be used as like revenge or like a way to start instigate, like stir the pot, stir drama. It's like that's
Or to get attention.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
like I want to make it on the news by killing everybody in a bank. Like there are other ways to do that.
Wait a minute. Where do we just go?
Like I'm not good at comparisons. But
it's what we do. It's
hold on.
what we do.
I support that bank murder. We're talking about sexual harassment right now, all right?
Out of left field.
And the Dolphin's here. The Dolphin made it.
Well, we're getting on the news now because now that we've murdered people.
Right. We're gonna be right up there with Louis C.K. saying some really fucked up shit.
Not only have we gone from touching somebody inappropriately, but we touched them inappropriately, and then we walked in the bank and then shot it.
Yes. Take that to the bank.
Oh my god.
I'm not even going to respond to that one.
You're not allowed to speak.
Yep.
Your speaking privileges are revoked.
And yet I'm the host, so go fuck yourself. I love you. Don't leave me.
I was going to say click.
Oh man, this has been a very insightful episode of Geek Boots, full of laughter, some very serious issues to be had, great conversations. Again, if at any point in time you're listening to this and you're maybe someone you think we're talking about you, as a very important person in my life always says, if you feel offended or you feel like it's about you, maybe it's time you do some self-reflection, because there's no fucks given here. It's time to be open and just be honest. There's no hate here. It's just being honest. Well, okay, some of us have hate, but that's neither here nor there.
A lot of it.
I don't hate nobody. I might not talk to you again, but I don't hate you.
Yeah.
I hate everyone equally.
Yay. But
that's a better way of putting what I just said. Thank you.
yeah. So yeah, if you're someone who's thinking about getting into this kind of stuff, I hope this episode specifically helps you out with some lessons, what to do, what not to do, why, because of the way we're talking about it. If you're a part of the world already and you're hearing this stuff, it's time to open up those doors of understanding and go, maybe I have been an asshole. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. This has been a special 2-hour long episode. It's been fucking amazing. I definitely want to thank Hudson Michaels for coming on. He's a huge name in the Pacific Northwest. Fucking a dude with a lot of pull and a lot of insight. That's why I wanted him on. Specifically when J4 messages me going, when the fuck are we going to have Hudson Michaels on the podcast?
He's
So,
like, I miss you.
Smooches.
yeah. We have a Ko-fi account. Please donate to that. That is going to helping us monetize our podcast. Make sure you give LK.DESIGNZ on Instagram some love. He is behind our new logo. We are in the process of doing some test runs with t-shirts, stickers, patches, things like that in terms of selling items and merchandise. We're still in the process of making everything happen. So be around when it comes time, because it's going to be fucking epic. Cons that are still in our eyesight in our line is Emerald City Comic Con, WonderCon, and that's all I know for now. It's going to be huge. Emerald City Comic Con, we're hoping to do a panel at Emerald City Comic Con. I'm waiting for them to open up panels. So, yes, we are, by the way. We're doing a panel. I mean, you don't have to be there, J4, but, whatever.
As I'm wandering in halfway through.
Yeah, right. Oh, hi, guys. Just like every other episode of Geek Boots.
We're halfway into the panel. He comes walking in the middle of the room.
With like a mug of coffee.
Get this stirring in.
Mug of coffee with cereal in it. Yes, that'll be the way that happens. In terms of WonderCon, we will be working with Alan, because the last couple of years he's been hosting military get-togethers down in Anaheim, California. So I'm trying to talk some military guys that are here up in Pacific Northwest to do WonderCon as well, trying to make that thing even bigger, because it got some attention this year, and fucking WonderCon did a video for them. That's fucking amazing. So trying to make it bigger. This has been an exciting episode of Geek Boots. Next week, we got some catching up to do because we weren't here last week. And I think we're going to talk about Godzilla, because there's a lot of military stuff to talk about in that movie. And there's, of course, a rating system we have to get on that. So,
I haven't got to see it yet.
Fucking get on that shit. Or, do it. Not show up.
The projector in the theater broke.
What? Well, okay, never mind. It's a military base.
The projector in the theater broke, and we're waiting on a replacement.
Fun fact for those of you who have no idea what he means by that, he is on deployment right now. He's in country, and because it's the Air Force, he gets his own place. Boss.
To quote J4 in terms of when we did the Road to Endgame, if you're not aware of J4 and his status, catch up.
Yes.
We talk about it all the time.
3-4 more months, something like that. I'm almost done.
We've got a dream.
A girl can dream. Anyway, so that has been this episode of Geek Boots Military Nerds. Catch us next week. We might even have another surprise guest on the show, because I'm thinking about bringing someone on again. You might know him. Portraits and Cosplay, Alan. Fucking love to see him. Because immediately after talking about Godzilla, he had to message me and ask me how I felt, and I asked him. So he's a huge Godzilla fanatic, might as well bring him onto the show because we love him, and guests are really nice to have on every once in a while. I am Tom Cruise Cosplay. With me is the full house. We got J4 in the house.
Toodles.
We got Single Dad.
What up?
Cosplay Jenemy.
Hey.
We got Mayan Goddess. And again, giant thanks for having Hudson Michaels be on our podcast this episode.
Oh.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. I am Tom Cruise. This is Geek Boots Military Nudes. Deuces!
Deuces.
Nudes. We're sending nudes soon.
He said Geek Boots military nudes.
Yes!
I mean,
Yes.
I'm going to California in September. You never know.
I'll shoot the calendar.
I was
Yay!
just gonna say that's gonna be one amazing calendar.
Well, now I know what to do with those prints that we're going to be doing. Anyway, deuces!
Bye.